to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, Off the Mask podcast, to be exact, because I always forget which one I'm doing, but I got it under control. And this is episode 199. We're almost there, y'all. We're one away from 200. And thank you, everybody, because I didn't think I was going to make it past 4. So here we are at 199. So my guest for this episode is actually someone in the jiu-jitsu community, but not just that. They're in the CBD and t-shirt community, making community, entrepreneur, if you will. I want to welcome to the podcast today Eric from over at BJJ Wholesale and Simple Leaf CBD. Welcome to the show, Eric. How you doing, man?
Doing fantastic, man. Thanks for having me. Finally able to get this going, which I know it took a couple of reschedules, but I'm glad we finally did it.
Hey, like I always say, it's like if we got a plan, we're going to make it happen one way or the other. Actually, almost reached out to you because when we last talked, we were like, okay, we'll figure it out. This weekend it was like Saturday afternoon. I get back from jiu-jitsu and I was like, okay, I think I can. Make this happen right now, but it might be short notice for him. Maybe I can get him tomorrow. And I was like, well, I got a lot going on tomorrow. I was like, you know what? Let me just see what his schedule is, and we'll go and you can go. And here we are recording and making it happen.
Finally, yeah. It took a little while, but yeah, I mean, we're here, so that's really all that matters. So thanks for having me. Definitely excited.
No problem. Thanks for making the time. And I guess the first thing I want to kind of jump into, because there's a lot. There's jiu-jitsu, there's BJJ Wholesale, there's Simple Leaf, there's it's like a kid in a candy store, and I was like, I don't know where to start, but I guess I'm going to start with jiu-jitsu because this is sometimes a jiu-jitsu podcast. So I want to ask you, how long you've been training and what got you interested?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been involved doing jiu-jitsu and involved in the community since 2008 ish. So yeah, it's about 15 years. Yeah, so originally started in Milwaukee at a Pedro Sauer school, a neutral ground out of Milwaukee. So shout out to John Friedland. Yeah, started doing that, and I've been only doing no gi since. So it's kind of cool going from Pedro Sauer super traditional gi primary school, to I now live in Denver where the evolution of the no-gi jiu-jitsu scene is kind of blown up. So gives me a lot more opportunities to train and a lot more training partners. And it's just, it's been really cool to see the evolution since way back.
Yeah. And what's like steers you in that direction where you're just like, like, hey, maybe I want a new hobby? Were you a UFC fan? Because I know a lot of folks came in a little bit after 08, after the UFC.
Yeah, for sure. So I had a friend of mine that got into it, and he's like, "Hey, man, you should really give this a shot." I was back at that point in time, I was lifting a lot of weights, and I absolutely hated doing cardio. Running on a treadmill was like I fucking hated it. So he's like, "Hey, this is a great workout. Really good for endurance, for cardiovascular health." And for me, like as soon as I get into it, I was like hooked. It was for me, it was like full contact chess. I was getting just tossed around by like 120-pound female. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. This is cool. I need to learn this. So that's really really what kind of drew me into it, and just seeing the different ways that you can manipulate someone's body was kind of fun to play with. So that's what's primarily drove me to it.
It's always weird when I try to explain to my friends. It's like, look, man, like I go out there and I get my ass kicked by females all the time, like, and it's great. And they're like, that doesn't sound great at all. That sounds like a nightmare. And it sounds like you need to talk more to your therapist about some of these. Like, you got some mommy issues, and I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't. Well, I do, but not in that way.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
for sure. No, it's and honestly, like not only with the evolution of the nogi game or the nogi scene within jiu-jitsu over the past 15 years, but the rise of female jiu-jitsu athletes and the female competitors that are coming out. It's like these chicks are savages, absolute savages, and it's so cool to see.
yeah, it's weird whenever you watch competitions. It's like the guys, watching the guys, it's fascinating, but it's almost like watching the women. And this is even in MMA as well. When I see the women fighting, it's almost like, and they're super sweet to each other afterward. But when they get in there, it's like you would think that like there's some static beforehand. It's like, yo, why is she doing this to her? And then afterward, they hug, and everything's cool in the gang. It's like, okay, and they're just they're super technical, but also there's like a brutality to that technique that's like, Jesus, like, is she
Honestly,
mad?
yeah, no, I think watching women roll and do jujitsu, I mean, it's a thing of beauty, just because the way that they move. At least a lot of them that I've rolled with are very smooth, very very flexible, very limber. The way that they just essentially like kind of like dance around your body without even knowing what they're doing. It's super cool to see and watch from a spectator standpoint. When you're in there with them, you're like, what the hell am I rolling with a ghost? Like you were right here, now you're gone. So
Some of the things that frustrate me the most with rolling with females is if they end up on my back. I'm like, how did you get there?
yep.
Like, you're not supposed to be there. And not only that, now that they're on my back, it's like they are legit like a little backpack. And I'm just like, okay, like this is frustrating. But that's part of the magic, because they're super technical. Like most females that I roll with, they're just it's like they have to when they're going up against a lot of us that are bigger guys. We're kind of brutes, and they're like, well, look, I'm not going to beat you on strength, but I can more than likely out technique you, which is why it's important for us also as guys. you know you know don't just rely on strength. You got to get good with your technique. Otherwise, your little sister's going to be serving you up a heel hook, and you're going to be trying to figure out where you went wrong. So
Honestly,
I'm saying,
I've been guillotined by more women than I have men.
yeah,
There are because the majority of them have smaller arms, and they're just able to sneak that in there just so much quicker and smoother than a lot of guys where I can defend it. But yeah, I mean the women that I've rolled with that are gotten really really good with guillotines. Yeah, they're dangerous.
yeah. It's definitely something to be aware of, especially with like you said, smaller arms.
Mhm.
You're thinking, okay, I'm safe. And I have like a stubby neck, so it's like it's tough to like get chokes in on me at times. But then every so often, hit you with a punch choke or something. It's like, well, how'd your little hands get in there? That's not okay.
Yep, getting in all the nooks and crannies.
Um, and do you compete at all,
Well,
or have you competed?
I've actually so this seems to be kind of shocking to a lot of people. I don't have a belt, and I've never competed.
Hmm.
Uh, Obviously, growing up in more of the traditional space, in order to be promoted, you need to wear a gi. I haven't donned a gi since George W. Bush was in office, so I've kind of relished in the fact that I'm not ranked, and that's fine by me. Not only that, but that helps keep the expectations low, which uh, which is good for me too. I'm a very lazy grappler. I try to expend the least amount of energy as possible. So um, yeah, my style is somewhat 10th planet, somewhat Gumby, somewhat of a sloth. So yeah.
I try to use little energy as well, almost to the point where they're like, he might be dead. Like, no, 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 no. I'm here. I'm here. Hey, don't stop the roll. I'm alive. Um, but that That I think that's one of the things though too that you point out is like the expectation
Hmm.
isn't, you know, there's not like this, oh, you should be this or you should be that. Or I went to visit a gym a few years back and I was signing their waiver and everything and getting all the info put down. And at this point, I think I may have been training 6 years, maybe. Yeah, that seems about right. When I get my blue belt, 20, so about 6 years, maybe. So we're gonna say 6 years. And as I'm signing a waiver, I go, "Oh, what belt are you?" And I go, "Blue belt." And he goes, "Oh, so what are you, a brown belt?" I was like, "Oh, that hurts." No, no, I'm blue. I'm a blue belt, and you can just kind of see this disappointment in his eye, like, oh, like okay. And, I had fun roles with all their guys. I rode one of their brown belts, Nogi, and he just tossed me around. I was like, okay,
Yep.
clearly you guys can see I'm not a brown belt, but like those blue belts, I was giving them the business until we got. I think like the second hour, people started taking their gis off, and it went to no gi, and I was just like, oh my god, this is not my world. Like, what are you guys doing?
So
And
do you primarily train in the gi?
I do now.
Okay.
I used to be kind of a you know mixture of the two. One of my coaches, one of the points that he had made was like, when the debate between gi versus no gi comes up, and it's like, well, look, it's all grappling. You should, be able to manage most of your stuff in or out of the gi. So a lot of times, if I'm rolling in the gi, yes, we have the grips to rely on, but a lot of times I try to, you know, try not to rely on like the sleeve or lapel grips if I can avoid it or if it's not necessary, just because if you go to no gi, you're not going to have those options there too. So you want to kind of keep yourself fluid in that way. But I've been since I've been back, July is when I came back, and I've been back pretty consistently since then. I've been primarily doing gi.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, it's interesting the people's preference. I mean, for me personally, like the gi was I felt claustrophobic. I didn't like that I wasn't able to move. Yeah, it's some like traumatic sort of outbursts in me where I'm just like, get me out of here. So that's why I needed to kind of stick with the no gi, because it was for me it just focused more on the body mechanics of grappling as opposed to this lapel or sleeve or whatever I can grab onto. So I'd rather be able to control somebody's body by their actual body than you know outside variables.
Yeah, I think whenever the debates between the two come up, it's like it's a preference thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It should never be like which is better, gi or no gi. It's like, well, I'm gonna obviously say gi because that's what I do. But you would be like, no, he's better. And it's like, well, yeah, because that's what you do. So, it would make sense, that there's just no right or wrong answer for it. It's like, look, if you like gi, then have fun in it. If you like no gi, have a blast in it. But at the end of the day, as long as you're on the mats, I think
Yep.
that's what's important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's really important. People read some of these comments on some of the posts, and when people start bringing up the gi no gi debate, it's like, calm down. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Just
Yeah.
if you're on the mats, you're part of the community. That's all that matters.
Yeah. I feel like as jujitsu has come along over the last, I would say 5 years or so, it's really become like, I don't know, just so like territorial. It's like, you have to do this, you have to do that. Oh, you can't believe in this, you can't believe in that. It's like, look, dude, I'm just here to grapple. I'm, what, like I'm 46, you know, I got a bad hip. I'm just here to burn calories and have community. You know, I'm not here to say to the next guy, I'm better than you at this. I mean, a lot of dudes in my gym, they like to invert, and that is not my world. So it's like if you're like, I'm gonna, bambolo your ass, it's like, okay.
I,
I'm
uh,
gonna.
I used to play the invert game, but, then I got this herniated disc in my neck, so I was like, I'm probably gonna stay away from that." But, yeah, no, I mean, for me personally, like, again, kinda going back to the expectations thing, people are like, "Hey, you should be black belt by now, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't really care. I'm here to, uh, get out of the house, get on the mats, burn some energy, social interaction." I don't I'm that stereotypical, belts don't matter guy. As long as you're a good fun role, that's really all I care about. And you're not
Yeah,
spazzy and I learned to be very selective with who I roll with nowadays, just because if I don't trust you, 41 years old now, it's like might might break something real quick. So I see these guys coming up in the gym. I'm like, I'm gonna stay away from you. Especially like the wrestlers that come into the gym. I'm like, yeah, I'm
oh
good.
yeah.
I'm good.
I have a teammate. We during open mat every week after our regular class, we'll have like an open mat session. We always pair up. He'll go, Dante, you need someone? I'm like, yeah, yep, let's go ahead and let's lock horns. This past week, I think he waited for me to go with two other people. And he was like, you need someone? I was like, dude, like we need to meet up at the beginning of this, not like in the middle towards the end because I'm exhausted and I don't have time to be keeping up with you.
Yeah.
But he has a bad neck and he inverts, but he's pretty good about it. He's careful. There was one week he got stuck underneath me and I freaked out, so I was like, I kind of lifted my weight and, tried to pull him out. And, he was cool. I was like, dude, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And, both, our experiences there, we've been training together for a while. One thing we always say is like, we can't break our toys because if you break your toys, you don't have anything to play with the next week. So,
Yep.
and also we have day jobs. So, you see some guys come through those doors and, there's this, I got to prove myself. And then, and then there's also guys who are just, like prepping for a competition. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not the one.
Yep.
like, because with me, you're going to get a very slow roll. Um, every so often I might have a quick burst of energy, but it's very quick and it's very minimum. Like, and after that, I'm probably going to sit out. But you got to be very selective, especially after what 35. It's like, all right, let me pick and choose this wisely because
You realize you don't bounce back like you used to. And
yeah,
for me, I mean, that's probably the biggest deterrent for me for competing is, these guys. I mean, I don't want to, knock them for taking it seriously, but like some of these guys take it way too seriously. I'm like man, I'm just out here to kind of hang out and have fun. So for me, like, it's not worth it ever to, especially in my position to go out and try to compete. I mean, I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. If I want to test myself, I'll go hit up an open mat across town. I'll
yeah,
go roll with new guys. And kind of see where things are. What do I need to improve on, what do I need to focus on. But yeah, I mean, for to tear my ACL for a $5 medal, I'm good.
yeah. It's like again, for those that are competing, I have a lot of teammates that compete, and I root for them, I cheer them on, I love them all to death, and you know, if we're there on the mats together, I want to help however I can, but also understand, a full speed, spar match I'm not there for that. If you want to drill some stuff, I got you. If you need me to give you some resistance, maybe, I'm a big boy. So if you need some weight on you, you're like, hey, I'm rolling heavyweight. I need a fat person. I'm like, hey, I got you. Like, I just had some
Surprise,
donuts this
surprise.
morning.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. For me, it's like if I have to go more than 20%, I don't want to play. That's not fun for me. I like the slow, methodical, technical roles. Um, I mean, and yes, you can have that no gi. I know people. That's one of the big arguments for gi is it's slower, it's more controlled, but you can still do the same thing in no gi. Um, so it's just it's all about trusting who you're rolling with and making sure that they don't do anything stupid or make sure you don't do anything stupid either. So
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I think during open mat, all my roles, everyone that I stepped in front, I was like, hey, so we're going to flow. because I I can't remember what. I think I was just tired. I was like, we're going to flow. And there were a couple guys that were like, and they've been there for a while, but they're like, I've never flow, I've never had a flow roll. I was like, dude, like what? Like you've been here longer than me. So, and I think for some people, I think in their minds when they get out there, it's like, it's just, not that they're going full clip, but they're like, we just have to go at X pace. And a couple weeks ago, I was just like, look, let's just flow. Let's just work on our moves, and get a good, get our heart rate up, but also keep a solid pace where we're not trying to kill each other. If you got the arm bar, obviously I'm going to tap. I'm not fighting out his arm bar. You've got it. You won. Um, if you got a choke, like yeah, it's a little trickier with my stubby neck, but I'll admit you got me. Like, again, we're not winning the medal. We're here. We're at practice.
Yep.
Like,
No,
it's
and
cool.
yeah, I mean, I tap all the time. I'm notorious for tapping to anything. You look at me wrong, I'll tap. I don't really care. So I mean, my ego left a long time ago when it comes to jujitsu, and yeah, I mean, going back to what you're talking about with the flow roll is so a couple weeks ago I had it was open mat. I just got there, and one of the guys asked if I wanted to roll. I was like, yeah, it's my first first round of the day. I was like, do you mind if we go light? He's like, oh yeah, totally, that's fine. He thought going light and flow roll was the same thing. So when I went for a sub, he got pissed. He's like, I thought we were just flowing. I said going light. So it was a little bit of a miscommunication there, but yeah, I mean, I have no problem going light. I have no problem flow rolling. That's just obviously with anything set expectations right up front. I'll let you know about every single injury I have. Like, watch out for my neck. I got a busted up shoulder. So just be easy on those. I was like, if you get a grip on my neck, I'm gonna tap. I don't care. I don't care if you're putting pressure on it. I don't care if you have a choke locked in. If I feel some weird pressure, I'm tapping. So
Yeah, I think that's the important thing too. Is like for ourselves, if we know, like, but yeah, I got my shoulder's not the best right now, my left shoulder. So as soon as anyone touches it, I'm just like, yep, let's just tap.
yep.
Although the guy caught an arm bar this week, and I guess it didn't feel like he had it. So I was trying to, do the hitchhiker and get out of there. And something went weird, and it was like, oh, that got tight. Like that's not supposed to feel that way when I make this angle.
Yep.
But I ended up tapping. I was just like, you know what? Let me just get out of here. It's something's really awkward, and I don't want to get hurt, and I don't think he knows what's going on either. So, and then later on when I got home, my elbow felt funny. Like the joint didn't feel funny. It was like the skin. It felt like I had like a uh gi burn or something. My skin was sensitive. I was like,
I don't know anything
that
about
feels weird.
it.
Oh, wrong person.
Yep. No, I had something. It was like maybe a month ago. All of a sudden, like right in my right arm, right up down my elbow. I was like, feels really weird. It's like like when you get the feeling where you get an IV put in. I was
Yeah.
like, it felt like that all the time. So yeah, I mean, it turned out to be tendonitis. So I got tendonitis in my elbow and my right bicep. So that's that's another fun thing. So again, the older you get, I mean, you just don't bounce back like you used to. So just you got to be really careful, listen to your body, and you should be good.
Yeah, it's that's something I try to remind myself, even trying to get back to the match. Was like, look, dude, you're like, you can't just rush back. Take your time, be cool. Like even when I'm lifting weights down here in the basement, it's like, okay, there's no, like, you don't need to be bench pressing nothing.
Yep.
Why are we even touching those? Get those kettlebells, and don't go for the heaviest one. Like, you're not Joe Rogan. Be cool. And it's
Well,
like you don't need to use a 70.
no, it's the same thing. Like back when I was lifting all the time, if I take some time off, and then go back to it, I'm like, oh, I can just put up the same weight I was putting up a month ago. Nope, don't do that.
Yeah. I just tried to move my weights. I'm rearranging the basement like the past few days. And I was like, okay, I got to move my weights. And I got the plates. I have like a weight rack. It's like, well, I'm not going to move that all at once. So let me, take everything apart. So I get all the lighter weights off, set them off to the side. I get to the 45s. It's like, this shouldn't be a Oh, whoa. Okay. Two hands here. All right.
Surprise.
Set this down. And then I have a 35s on the barbell that was just sitting over there for like deadlifts and stuff like that. Haven't done it in a while. So I go over. I was like, let me go ahead and grab this. Whoop, okay. We're not gonna let's just take these weights off. Let's take the plates off. Like go set these to the side. It's like, you want to lift weights, you want to, maintain your body, but also it's like for me, like before coming into jiu-jitsu, that's what I was doing. I was lifting weights. I was like just throwing all types of weights up. And now I'm at a point where it's like, you know, the goal when I was young was like, I want to be able to bench press 300 plus, comfortably. And I remember one day my buddy asked me, when we were going to the gym. I want to say it was like 15 years ago. Yeah, that seems right. Maybe less than that, 13 years ago. And he asked me, he was like, you ever reach that goal of 300, like repping 300? I was like, no, I just got to a point where I stopped and asked myself, I was like, why?
Yep.
Like, I'm not, the goal of playing pro football left a long time ago. I was like, I'm not trying to be the strongest guy, at work. I'm just trying to be strong enough. I don't have to lift 300 to be stronger than everybody else because everybody else there for sure couldn't lift 100. So, it's like if I could do this 225, several times, I'm way ahead.
Yep.
And then just
No,
take care of myself.
it's interesting too. Like, so right around COVID is when I stopped lifting weights, just because every single gym was shut down. So, I lost a massive amount of muscle. But the interesting thing with that is like going from being moderately strong or relatively strong to not lifting weights at all. Excuse me. It makes you focus more on technique, right? So like I know now that I'm not gonna try to break somebody's grips if I'm going for an arm bar. I'll switch over to a bicep slicer just because I'm lazy and I'm not gonna try to break your grips. Um, but yeah, I mean I'm 6'2", 180 pounds. I'm not a massive dude by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm just really focused more on the actual technique of it, and instead of trying to muscle things through. But there's still that muscle memory. Like, doesn't matter how long you've gone without lifting weights. I mean, you're still gonna be strong with like certain frames or certain positions that you're in. It's like I've had people that I've rolled with. They're like, you are just surprisingly like sneaky strong. I'm like, okay, take those as a compliment. I think so.
I mean, I think that's one of the ones that really is cool. Is like when someone looks at you like, that guy can't be strong. It's like, okay,
Yep.
like why is your grip that way?
Yep.
like it hurts. So
Yeah, definitely.
you're
Like
good.
going for like a shorthand choke. That's you're like, holy shit, I was not expecting that.
Like uncomfortable, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Um, so with BJJ Wholesale, how did that come about for you?
Yeah. So BJJ Wholesale has been around for about a little over a year and a half now. I actually started doing um, some research into just kind of like side hustles and things I could do with Shopify account that could help pay for my wedding because I just got married in last October. Um,
Congrats.
thank you. So yeah, started doing some research on that, and I was like, okay, um, you know, everyone says just follow, do something that's in your that you're passionate about, it's something that you're interested in. I'm like, well, jujitsu. That's my number one passion, and so I started like taking a look at the market, and I'm like, God, a lot of these rash guards and training gear, like they're just ridiculously priced. It's like so expensive, like 60, 70, $80 for a rash guard. It's fucking insane. So started doing some research and reaching out to some manufacturers and like, hey, what can we do from like resale standpoint, things like that. Really uh, get down to the actual manufacturers and see what we could do. And like I realized, you don't need to spend more than $40 for a rash guard. Um, for a high quality rash guard, and then that was going really well for a while. And then I started getting some requests for some custom stuff. So then I started designing some custom gear, and like that's actually really been taking off. Like my uh, Darsa design, and I did a leg lock rash guard that BJJ HQ picked up. So that was really cool. And yeah, I've been doing custom stuff for gyms and different clubs around the country for about a year now. So it's been going really well. Um, and going to be eventually breaking off and doing like an in-house brand outside of BJJ Wholesale. So BJJ Wholesale, the initial design and the idea of it was to be somewhat of a just a marketplace for different brands. And I got a had some really good um, interactions with a lot of other brands out there, like Matt Wallstrom over at Epic Roll. Him and I have become really good friends. We talk on a weekly basis. He's a huge proponent of everything we're doing at BJJ Wholesale and at Simple Leaf. I also have a group chat going on with some other brand owners, like my buddy John over at BJJ Swag, who's doing some really cool stuff with Jeff Glover and Pete the Greek. Um, uh, my buddy Antoine, who owns Murder Yoga 187. Um,
Mhm.
he's right down here in Colorado Springs. I'm in Denver. Nikki Taranta at Toronto Sports down in Austin. I mean, all these guys. We are in constant group conversations, and the really cool thing about the BJJ community, especially with BJJ brands, is it doesn't matter what you're doing. Nobody really looks at each other as a competitor. Everybody just wants everybody else to win, which is something that I think is just this really unique microcosm of BJJ and business. Going into like more of the entrepreneurial side, is like we're all training partners if you think about it. So we're all just trying to make each other better. Um, and we might be competition, quote unquote, on paper, but at the end of the day, we just want to see everybody else win, and that's really what it all comes down to. So, we'll talk about like best practices for marketing, or rash guard designs, or something like that. I mean, I called Matt the other week over at Epic Roll. I was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing putting up a booth at ADCC. What do you think? Have you ever done any of those?" And I mean, we were on the phone for about 2 hours, just shooting the shit and talking about different business ideas, concepts, things like that. So yeah, I mean, it's everyone's been really supportive of everybody else. I've had brands reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, I want to start doing this. What do you suggest?" I'm like, "Well, based on my experience, I was like, I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm not an expert, but this is what's worked for me and what I've seen success with." So yeah, at the end of the day, I want to see everybody else succeed too. So that's kind of where BJJ Wholesale is right now, and yeah, we got some pretty big things coming up this year, which I'm pretty excited. We've got a bunch of new designs I'm working on right now. I'm going to be launching, so really excited about that.
Good, good. I actually just had Matt on a few episodes back, and I actually found out about Simple Leaf through his stories.
Okay.
It's like I saw the link, and I was like, "Let me go check this out." And because just after sitting and talking with Matt, I was um, like I went down and trained with him a few years back. There's a situation that happened with a gi company, um, that they just weren't on the up and up, and it rubbed me the wrong way
I
and rubbed a
think
lot of other people
I
the wrong
think I
way.
remember. I think I know which one it is. Does it start with an E?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Ends with elite.
yes.
I'm not gonna name names.
And um and he was really helpful to everyone in that situation, and just a really great guy. And reconnecting with him, and just talking with him was like, look, this dude is like, he's pointing in the right direction. So as I'm looking in his stories, is like, he mentioned your CBD, and I was like, hey, if it's good enough for Matt, let me go check it out. And
Not
sure as hell, it,
surprise. Yeah, no,
it,
yeah,
it
Matt's
worked.
been great. Matt's been a huge cheerleader. I can't say enough good things about him. Like I said, he and I have become pretty close over the past several months. So Yeah, originally reached out to him because I wanted to start, potentially carrying the Epic Roll stuff on BJJ Wholesale, which we're still working on that. We just got to figure out some logistic stuff behind that, but yeah, we're gonna partner up with him, and yeah, it's gonna be cool. So I'm super excited to see what happens this year.
Good, good. It sounds like, you know, with all the moving parts, you know, for some, it's like, you see a lot of folks, and Matt kind of alluded to this as well with Epic Rollers, like he didn't want to just become another t-shirt, company. And, the ideal of like moving beyond that, moving to rash guards, gis, and things like that. It's like, it feels like the natural evolution, but you do get kind of in this deer in headlights situation where it's like, okay, I'm doing t-shirts, and it's like, oh shit, there's more. And it feels like with you, it's like that was never the case. It was like, okay, you know what? Give me what's next. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it growing. There's no intimidation factor here. Like we're here to progress. Not just stay stale. So good for you guys.
No, definitely, yeah. It's I mean, and that's exactly it, and that's one of the things that you know, I really want to focus on with BJJ Wholesale this year is kind of changing the marketing to be we have some pretty cool kind of witty creative designs, but really what it comes down to is, I mean, you're selling a lifestyle, right? It's not necessarily a brand or a brand name or a design. It's a lifestyle. So really kind of changing the marketing side of it to really give people more of a feel for the brand itself, as opposed to the just the kind of quirky designs that I might have, or the funny or the kind of creative things that I'm doing. Which, don't get me wrong, I think is really cool, and a lot of my customers love it. You know, one of my best selling rash guards is my free oil checks rash guard. So I mean, we're still not gonna we're not gonna stay away from that because it's part of who we are as a company and a brand. But you know we're starting to get into doing sponsored some jujitsu athletes. My buddy Giannis down at B Team in Austin. He also trains at TriStar in Montreal. He was our first sponsored athlete. We're bringing some more on this year. So yeah, really cool. Really excited to kind of see what happens and where it goes. Um, it's there's a lot of parallels with jujitsu and entrepreneurship, especially starting a business. Because white belt, you come in, you're like, I don't know anything, teach me all the things. And then once you get like a 3 or 4 stripe white belt or even a blue belt, you're like, I know everything. I can figure this whole thing out. And then you realize really quickly that you don't know shit. So you really need to kind of put it in perspective and work with people that are upper belts in business and jujitsu in order to improve and get your game to where you want it to be. So I mean, Matt's been doing this for way longer than I have. So I love talking to him, and with the other group that I'm part of with Murder Yoga, BJJ Swag, and Toronto Sports. It's we're all a bunch of blue belts trying to figure it out on our own. We're watching YouTube videos and going through the techniques with the business. So it's all about sharing notes and figuring out what works, and again trying to make sure everybody succeeds. That's really what it comes down to. And jujitsu is this really kind of cool community where it's sort of utopian in the sense that it's the most inclusive, the most supportive, the best type of people to be around, the most diverse, and everybody wants everybody else to get better and do good things. So that's if so, I often say that if society was more like jujitsu, we'd be in a much better place.
I agree 10,000%. So I'm always trying to get her. Hey, come out here, go on the mat. Just sign a waiver. As soon as I say sign a waiver, I was like, I ain't signing a waiver. What you talking about? Sign a waiver? Well, I got to sign a waiver. Um, I think one of the things that you point out there though too is like having a group of like-minded individuals in this community. That's how you're gonna grow. And I had a friend who they were producing the rash guards, t-shirts, things like that. And as I'm thinking about what you're saying, and I'm thinking about what they were doing, and granted, this was years ago, so I wonder if they were doing it now, would it be different for them? But it felt like, as they're trying to get their stuff out there, it was just kind of you know, falling flat. And I don't know if it was a matter of, just not having a community connection, or if it was maybe they were part of the group and was like, well, look, this isn't going how I want it to go or as fast as I want it to go. Because I think anything that's worthwhile takes time. You know, you're not just going to jump into, you know, selling merchandise and make 100,000 your first month. I mean, shit, you'd be lucky if you make anything the first month. You're probably losing, but
Yeah.
you can't rush it. You gotta take your time, and then also, find your tribe.
Oh yeah, no, and that's ultimately what it comes down to with with it is people, especially now in today's society, like everyone wants instant gratification, instant results. It's like that's not realistic. It's like again going back to jujitsu, drawing those parallels. You could start jujitsu, and I'm 15 years in. I have never once claimed to be good at jujitsu. I personally don't think I'm very good because I get smashed all the time. But then, relatively speaking, it's going back and like I'll roll with white, blue, and some purple belts, and it's like okay, if depending on if I want to make them work or if I want to let them work. So if I want to make them work, then yeah, they'll come back like, holy shit, how'd you do that? What'd you do? One day I'll get to your level. I'm like, I'm nothing special. I just been doing this for so long, and ultimately what it comes down to is like consistency with anything, whether it's business, jujitsu, relationships, life, work, doesn't matter what it is. I mean, if you're consistent with it, you will get better.
It's so true. Well said. With what you all are doing, again, I'm, I'm, just kind of like hearing where it's come from and where it's going, where it's at. It's like wow, like it's the proof is in the pudding, I guess the saying is. So it's like you work and you're doing this thing, just keep at it. So good for you all.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. It's like I said, the amount of support that we've gotten from everybody in the community, different brand owners, and even the guys over at BJJ HQ. Like I'll go to them, ask them questions. Everyone's just super supportive. A lot of times I'll send rash guard concept designs that I've drawn up, and I'll send it out to just a bunch of people I've just talked to on Instagram, and like, hey, can I get some feedback on this? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? A lot of meme accounts that I talk to, doing really cool things. So yeah, it's again, it's the coolest community and coolest sort of social setting I've ever been in. So definitely blessed to be here.
Jiu-jitsu community is it's it's hard to explain to anyone who's not in the community, especially. It's like, wait a minute, you guys want each other to win? Like, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Like, I
absolutely.
mean,
It's so
you
inclusive.
know, there might be, yes, there are folks, they go out there and they compete against, other grapplers. Yes, you want to beat them on the mat, but when you're not standing in front of them, competing, you want them to do well too. You know, I would say, as a whole for this community, we all want to, want to see each other win. You might have your outliers here and there that might be like, I'm just here for me, and that's fine too if that's what you are. But you're not going to get far in the community. You know,
Yeah,
like
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the jujitsu. This might come off weird, but jujitsu to me is it's like religion, right? So everyone has their own relationship with God or whatever spiritual being you believe in. Everyone has their own relationship with jujitsu. Like for me, like I know why I do jujitsu. I do it because it's therapy for me. You know, it's that release. If I'm having a bad day, I know if I get on the mats, I'm gonna be 100% better. um, and that's just like that solace that I get from being on the mats. And I don't know if it's the energy release or if it's the camaraderie, the social interaction that I'm able to have with my teammates. But it's for me that's what brings me happiness. So it's and I know some guys that, like, they're, like you said, they're there to compete. That's their relationship with jujitsu. They're there to, you know, um, you know, fight off some sort of PTSD they're working on, or doing something to help improve their lives, or they're trying to impress a girl, or they're whatever your reason is. There's no wrong reason for doing jujitsu. Just as long as you're on the mats and you're participating in the community and you're trying to make sure everybody else around you is getting better as well, that's really all that matters.
Yeah, I remember a few years back, my foster mom passed away, and I found out the night before, and I had jujitsu in the morning. So, my wife's like, "Are you sure you want to go in?" It's like, no, no, it's I needed to go in. I that because for me is my therapy, and anytime I put up the meme, jujitsu is my therapy, I get so many people that fire back and attack like therapy is therapy. It's like, well, no, I mean, just like jujitsu, everyone has a different relationship, just like same as religion, same thing with therapy. Different things are therapy for people, whether it be lifting weights, whether it be swimming, jogging, jujitsu, or talking to a therapist. This podcast is therapy for me a
Oh yeah,
lot.
for sure.
You know, so going out there on the mats that morning, I grappled, I trained, and then at the end of it, I sat off to the side and just started bawling, because it was like, okay, I got this, kind of out of my system. I got, the movement in,
You
I
got
got
the
my
physical
breathing
release.
down.
You've got the physical release, now you need the emotional release.
Yeah, and it, came out, and then I felt fine. I was fine, and I think that's one of those things that, like I said, I try to explain to my friends, my family, why I do jujitsu and why I love this sport and I love this community, and it's just one of those things where I feel like you have to be there to know, or not even necessarily in jujitsu, you just have been a part of some community that tries to nurture and grow its participants. you know like growing up, I played football and basketball, and though there is a brotherhood there, you know it wasn't exactly the same. Whereas here it's like, I'm at open mat yesterday, and I walk in, there are guys I haven't seen in years, and it's just, we just roll into everything as if nothing had ever changed. There's a new guy I'd never seen there before. Just roll into it like like we've known each other. We're chatting a little bit while we're drilling, but it was like you can feel everybody's trying to help everybody. There is a relationship that we all kind of share with this art, and it's flowing through us. So
No,
it's
absolutely,
fucking awesome.
absolutely, absolutely. No, from my question I ask every time before I start around with anybody is like, is there anything you want to work on?
Hmm.
You know, is
Same.
again, because it's like, I'm trying to make sure everybody else gets better. And I feel a sense of um, accomplishment from helping my teammates get better in whatever they're trying to improve, whether it's guard pressing or if it's defense, or some weird transition. I mean, I want to help somebody get better at that, and seeing somebody become more competent and more proficient in a certain move or submission or transition, whatever the case may be. I mean, that makes me happy. Like I love seeing, it's like, watching a white belt come in, and then all of a sudden, like, a year or two later, you see them actually become confident in what they're doing. I mean, it's such a cool evolution to witness.
Yeah, I had a teammate that I remember when he first started, and then I kind of took some time away from the mats, and I came back, and he's a blue belt, and he's helping coach other guys on the mats along with coach, and and it was like so cool to see. It's like, oh my god, look at you! Like, it's like having a younger sibling. It's like, look at you all grown up. It was like, dude, like, can you come on and talk on the podcast with me? I want to hear this evolution. I want to know, just because it's fascinating to see where you were in the beginning and where you are now, and just it's so cool to see people winning in general. So But I think again that's something that's unique to this community is like again we're all here for the same reason, in terms of like yes, we're doing jujitsu for a different reason, but ultimately we're looking to get better at what
Mhm.
we're doing. Like I don't know anybody that comes to jiu-jitsu and says, I kind of just want to stay as a white belt the rest of my life. I don't want to get anywhere past day 5. I want to stay as a day 5 white belt for the rest of my life. It's like, I mean, you say that now, but
Yeah.
once you get into it,
No, and the other part of that too is like having those guys around you and girls around you that push you to be better, right? So I see Brett over there doing really good things. He's doing this really cool movement. I mean, he's tapping out these purple belts with this move or this move. It's like I want to do that too. So it's again drawing another parallel to business and entrepreneurship is, you see friends winning. Like, I see all the cool things that Matt's doing over at Epic Roll. I see all the cool stuff that, John's doing over at BJJ Swag. Murder Yoga. Antoine is doing some amazing stuff down there. And then, Nikki's just getting started with his brand. But I mean, seeing some of the successes that, all these guys have, it motivates me. I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it too. And the cool thing is, I mean, Jiu-Jitsu is the fastest growing combat sport worldwide. There's enough room in the sandbox for everybody to play. And there needs to be more personalities, more brands coming in. Not selling these $100 rash guards that look just like NASCAR jackets with logos everywhere. That makes fucking stupid, but that's just me. And there's so much creativity in jiu-jitsu, man, in business, and this is jiu-jitsu is a creative outlet for me. And BJJ Wholesale has been, ever since I started doing the custom stuff, it's like that's a creative outlet for me. That allows me to be able to take what I have going on in my mind and be able to put it into something tangible to show the world, which I think is kind of cool.
I think it's cool as well.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you.
And I want to also ask about Simple Leaf.
Yeah, yeah. So
As we were talking before we started recording, um, I had some experiences with it, and it was good. So I now need to get details from you.
yeah. So I'll give you the kind of rundown where Simple Leaf started. So back in 2017, my Doberman at the time, Fedor, was diagnosed with late stage leukemia, and doctors gave him about 4 to 6 weeks to live. So they're like, even if you do chemo, it's really not going to prolong his life in any way. So started doing some research into what I could do just to make him comfortable, and someone suggested CBD to me. So at that point in time, I was like, I'll try anything. So I didn't do chemo with him or anything. I just did prednisone and CBD, and he was in full remission within 45 days. His entire oncology team was blown away. So I was like, started doing research into it. I was like learning more about CBD, the endocannabinoid system within the human body, and animals as well. All living things have an endocannabinoid system which absorb these cannabinoids within the body through the CB1 and CB2 receptors. So it's started doing some research into it, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was really interested in getting into doing a CBD business as well. So I was just leaving my uh, tech job. I was a corporate VP of sales for a tech company in Chicago for a long time, and then left, moved out to Denver, and started Simple Leaf. So we started looking at the market and trying to figure out what can we do differently. And we realized that the majority of CBD brands out there primarily just had general use products like the tinctures and the vapes and things like that. But majority of CBD users actually turn to CBD for a specific reason, whether it's sleep or anxiety, depression, pain, inflammation, mental focus, whatever the case may be. So we initially created 7 custom formulated capsule products to really hone in on the reasons why people turn to CBD in the first place. And we did that by incorporating other all natural ingredients like different nutraceuticals, vitamins, minerals, herbs, adaptogens, things like that to really give people the maximum results for what they're looking for. And, we launched that in 2020 as well. And it was, weird time to start a business. Um,
Ballsy,
yep,
I like to
yep,
say.
yep. So yeah, that was that was interesting. But yeah, I mean, you know, it went well, and then we started getting more and more requests from our customers and the resellers that we were working with about these THC isomers and THC alternatives, like the Delta 8 and the Delta 9, um, things like that. So we started doing some research into that. We spent about a year and a half doing R&D um, on some gummies, and we tried every single product on the market. What seems like anyway. And you know, there's definitely some gaps there in the market. The three big things we were looking for was taste, texture, and effect, and then obviously clean ingredients as well. Um, and majority of the brands out there, they either tasted like shit, or they had a really weird texture, or the effects were off, or they were just loaded with um, garbage ingredients, artificial colors, flavors. The first three ingredients on the ingredient panel were three different forms of sugar. Um, so we really wanted to create a natural product, very similar to the capsules that we had that were more effect based, that had clean ingredients and great user experience. So yeah, we launched our Delta 9 gummies back in Aug- August, September of last year. So ever since then, I mean, it's blown up quite a bit. So we have some here. But the yeah, the gummies are phenomenal. We've had nothing but rave reviews from everybody. Really trying to get more of a wellness focused gummy out there to people that are looking to kind of experiment with the THC space, along with the CBD and the CBG and those other cannabinoids that we include in the products as well. So
I mean, from the experience that I've had, in this short period here with them, I could say you nailed all four, as far as taste, texture, effectiveness, and you know that's one of the things that I noticed. Like when you sent them, there's a little card that's give you a full breakdown of everything. I was like, oh my god, this, like, for a second I was a little overwhelmed. I was like, what am I getting into? And my wife looked sad and she was like, are you sure you want to do this? I was like, well, yeah, because most CBD that I've had two different companies prior, and you get your little packet and everything, and I was like, okay, this is fine. Um, one of them I had given to right at the start of COVID in 2020. My grandfather was having some back pain, so I gave him what I had. I was like, here, man, like, use this. This should help. Has been helping me with my knee. I gave it to him. Like, he didn't seem to have any effect when he was like, it's not really doing anything for me. Whether it be a matter of maybe, you're just so far gone with, your back injury that, very little is going to help. Um, then, I encountered another company, and their product was effective-ish. But one thing was the texture was kind of weird. There was a weird aftertaste. I was like, okay, um, I don't know if this is what this is supposed to be like, but at least I feel some pain
yeah,
relief in my neck. And then I get to yours. And what threw me off about yours is, like, I open up the containers, like, holy shit, these smell good. Like, these smell like candies, and then, I'm looking at the ingredients again. I'm not seeing, like, it's not like, oh, all this sugar, high fructose corn sugar, it looks like gummies I would buy up the streets at the 7-Eleven. And, I was like, okay, I got the mixed berry. It's like, oh my God, these smell so good. I'm sitting out here with my co-host for the Compton Beer Club. And, he's like, yeah, they do smell good. I was like, you want to, try one with me? He was like, no, I'm good right now. I was like, okay. Of course, I pop one while we're reviewing beers, and then I look on the label, do not use with alcohol. I'll be okay. I wasn't. Like, well, I was okay, but I woke up the next day. I didn't realize, it put me on my ass. And I had training the next morning, and I didn't realize just somebody grabbed my lapel and did a snap down. And I realized, holy shit, I'm still high. Okay, okay. like let's just get back to base. And then that the rest of that day for training was just pretty much, hey, whatever you're working on, just go ahead and work. I'm just here. I'm gonna work with you guys. But the next time I took it, I took one on like a Tuesday night. You know, shoulder pain, neck pain. It relaxed me. I didn't feel weird or anything. I felt comfortable. I was like, oh my god, this is. He was like, maybe that first time was like maybe a weird fluke. The second was like, nope, nope. They are good. They taste good. Again, the texture is not funky and it's effective. I felt like this is working. And then, I talked to my co-host's younger brother, and he was like, I was thinking about looking to some CBD to help me with my anxiety. And I immediately turned to him and was like, dude, and I showed him the jars like this right here. Here, take one of these cards. Look into it. Like best price, best taste, and they work. So like if I had like a sticker to put on my forehead that said Simple Leaf, I would do that because in it might sound like, oh, this guy's overhyping it. Like, no, I genuinely like felt like, okay, they're working, and taste is a big thing to me because I'm a fat boy. I like foods. So if something doesn't taste good, it's like I don't want that. But they were delicious. So everything that you all are doing on your end, all the research that you put in, the year and a half prior, it shows. So
No, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, no, it's again, it's something that we really wanted to make something different in the market, and there's I do have to say there's a one of the things that we really focus on is the educational component of it, which is why we include those ingredient cards and things into each package that we send out. We really want people to be educated about what they're putting in their bodies. What's in these products, and why it's important for wellness. The biggest misconception that we're still fighting through is people. And granted, it is confusing. CBD, THC, CBG, Delta 8, Delta 9. What is all this stuff? I mean, it's all part of the cannabis plant. But the biggest thing that people are starting to realize is that there's a difference between CBD, THC, CBG, and then you're going to get into the different types of THC, which is like the Delta 9, which is what our gummies are. So these are Delta 9 gummies. They will get you high. They do have psychoactive effects, but we also include other therapeutic ingredients like the CBD or the CBG, which is cannabigerol, which is essentially the root genome of all other cannabinoids within the plant. So every single cannabinoid starts out originally as CBG and then evolves into something else, whether it's CBD or THC or CBN or CBC or any of the other thousands of cannabinoids within the plant. They originally started out as CBG, and CBG is really cool and important because it essentially, from an effect standpoint, it's like CBD on steroids. It's great for anti-inflammatory. It's great for mental focus. It's great for mood. It's really really important for gut health. So I mean, there's a lot of really cool therapeutic components to that. And in our blue raspberry indica gummies that we use, we also put in CBN, which CBN is a really cool cannabinoid. It's what they call a minor cannabinoid because it's really created in small doses within the plant, but it is phenomenal for relaxation. So I don't know if you've ever had any issues sleeping, and you take a blue raspberry gummy, the CBN in there will allow you to. I mean, it allows the brain to. It attaches onto those CB receptors within the brain, and it'll allow you to relax, which is really important. So, yeah, anybody looking, having anxiety issues, definitely recommend like our indica gummies. Are phenomenal for being able to relax and just kind of chill out.
good, good.
There's
I
there's
could.
there's so much science behind it. Like when I first started doing this, I was completely overwhelmed. But yeah, it's so cool to actually like be part of it and see the evolution of the industry and kind of where it's going.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like you said, all the science behind it, and obviously you did your research on it. It wasn't just like, okay, you guys say this, I'm going to go with it. It's like I think that's how you end up sometimes with, weird textures, weird tastes, and maybe not as effective stuff. So, like I said, I definitely can speak for this product and say, yeah, it works. The blue raspberry, it like I love blue raspberry anything. So when I saw the link in Matt's stories, and I go to the link and I see blue raspberry, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and place an order. And then I went and commented. It was like, blue raspberry is gonna be the move. And then you messaged me back, and then that's when I connect. Wait a minute. Like these are the two same person. There's
Yeah.
BJJ Wholesale and Simple Leaf. Wait a minute. But I greatly appreciate it. Because I think, yeah, that's what it was. You're doing a giveaway.
Yep.
And I felt like I want a giveaway there. So thank you. Thank you for you know, your contribution to the CBD community, and just in general, because you sent me, a couple additionals, so I greatly appreciate that. Because I was like off of just, the taste alone, you had me, um, just because like I said, that's important to me. I like food. So if there's something that's I'm going to ingest, it's got to be delicious. And the other big thing I want to point out too is the price point. I think is the best that I've seen, because I see a lot of CBD products, people, selling for like 70, sometimes over $100. I'm like, God, dude, I can't get into that. Because what if your shit doesn't work? Like I just spent $85 on something that, now, I just $85 on some really expensive gummy bears. And my wife will definitely yell at me about that. I was like, what the fuck? Like, you could have went up the street and got some gummy savers. Like,
Right.
yeah, I could have. They're
Yep.
expensive too.
No, exactly. No, it's yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, especially with today's economy, and this holds true with BJJ Wholesale and Simple Leaf as a whole. Is we really wanted to make sure that these products, whether it be the CBD capsules or our Delta 9 THC gummies, um, we really wanted to make sure that they were affordable for everybody. So we do a 30 count. Our MSRP on 30 count jar is $44.95. So it definitely definitely obtainable, definitely affordable from that standpoint. I mean, yeah, to your point, I've seen some gummies that are, or some CBD products, or cannabis products that are like $100 plus. I'm like, you're out of your mind. So don't get me wrong. Those are great margins to be able to have, but at the end of the day, it's like, are you really doing your customers a service here, or you know, and again, I mean, we only use the best quality ingredients, and the other part of that too is we run COAs, or a certificate of analysis, on every single batch that we do, and we run a full panel. So that just means we're not just testing for potency, we're not just testing for cannabinoid profile, we're also testing for mycotoxins, residual solvents, heavy metals, any sort of molds, any sort of nastiness that you don't want in your body. We want to make sure that that's not in these products. So again, at the end of the day, we are a wellness company, so we really want to make sure that we're focusing on the wellness side of it, as opposed to just, is this going to get you high? Which again, everyone's got their own motivations for doing, getting involved with it too. So again, parallels all over the place, but for us, if the consumer just wants to come in to get as high as possible for as cheap as possible, we're not the brand for you, because we are focused more on responsible dosage, quality ingredients, and a fair price point. So we really want to make sure that we hit on all three of those as well, along with the product attributes. So
I can say again on my experience, take one of these, and also that third experience I had, I will say I was a little sleep deprived from the evening before, so it hit me a little bit harder the next But again, if you're lacking sleep, you take one of these and you want to go listen to Portishead or Bjork or something, it's not a bad idea.
There
Gets
you
a little
go.
trippy, but it'll be a good time. But yeah, I love the product, and I can't say enough good things about it. And it's almost to a point where I'm saying, I'm saying so much good stuff about it. People are like, dude, you're bullshitting. Like, no, I am not. Like, like,
No, I
come
appreciate
over.
that. Yeah.
Like,
No, it's honestly, it's from the reseller side of it. So what my primary function within Simple Leaf is focusing on revenue within the distribution and wholesale channels. So I'm on the phone with resellers and distributors all day, and when we send samples out to them, I mean, it's the proof's in the pudding. You try one gummy and you're like, okay, I get it. These are different. Just and I think you texted me a couple weeks ago and you're like, these are dangerously delicious. So, which I think we're gonna start using in our marketing. I'll give you a shout out for that one. So, yeah, it was that was cool, and I love getting those messages from friends and resellers and customers. They're like, holy shit, these are amazing.
yeah, like I said, my wife, she was like, like when she smelled the mixed berry, she's like, oh, I might have to try one of these. And after I tried, I was like, okay, so you can. Let's just maybe a Friday night or a Saturday night is probably your best bet. That way, probably Saturday because she works evenings, so she'll work Thursday night, coming home Friday, so she'll be sleep deprived. So it's like, let's do Saturday where you've had some rest. You ain't got to get up and get our daughter to theater class the next day. Like I'm willing to take her, but
Yeah,
like you know,
that's awesome.
like
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
rather you just cool out.
yeah. No, thank you so much, man. It's been a cool experience. Kind of going through the entrepreneurial journey with Simple Leaf, and I know it's cliche. I do jujitsu. I have a rash guard company. I also have a CBD company. Super cliche, but it's. I think we're adding something to the culture on both with Simple Leaf and BJJ Wholesale, which if I personally can have even the smallest effect on the community and what we're doing, I mean, I'm thrilled. So super excited to kind of see where things go over the next couple of years.
Awesome, and I'm excited to see that journey and follow along and just watch you all grow and continue to do great things. So let's go ahead and wrap up on that note. Eric, thank you for again being flexible with your time and doing this with me. I greatly appreciate it.
No, absolutely, man. No, this is fun. We got to do it again.
For sure. I mean, we talked for nearly an hour before recording, so it's like, oh, there is plenty for us to discuss. We
Oh,
we we like I wish I would have just hit live and like, okay, I'm just gonna splice these up and just drop like Dante and Eric tidbits
yep.
throughout other podcasts. Like,
Life lessons.
okay,
There you go.
before we get out of here, shout outs, mentions, links, or anything that you got for us.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, if any of your listeners want to take advantage of some discounts with either BJJ Wholesale or Simple Leaf, we're going to throw 20% out to all the listeners with the code BJJ Wiki. So bjjwholesale.com or simpleleaf.com.
All right. And I'll be sure to drop those in the show notes. And um, like I said, I'm gonna be a walking billboard, dude. Like this is like also I feel like too, just being in the community, like everyone has their own motivations for what they do, but I feel like you are genuinely doing this as a service for the community and giving back, versus like, look, I want to make as much money as I can possibly make. You're like, look, yeah, we got to make money, but I also want to make sure this is obtainable for, individuals because, you know, like I said, I looked at some products. I was like, dude, $85, $100. And I don't know if they work. Like saw yours was like, I'll give it a try and it works. So, you're doing, great things for this community and we appreciate it. And we're going to continue to follow that journey and promote the hell out of you, man. Thank you
Yeah,
for that.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah, it's you're exactly right. It's if you're on the entrepreneurial side, if you think you're just going to get into it for money, Doesn't matter what you're getting into, whether it's selling rash guards or nutraceuticals or light bulbs. Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, if you're getting into it just to make money, I mean, you're never going to be successful. Really need to build to have a niche within the space, solve a problem, take care of your customers. I mean, making sure customer experience is number one, and then from there, I mean, the money will follow. So
Absolutely.
firmly believe that, and just get into business for the right reasons, and go from there.
Couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.
No problem. And as always, to the listeners, thank you very much. We appreciate all the support. We appreciate you being here for 199 episodes. And even the Off the Mat Nerdcast episodes, all 14 of those, where Marilyn, Phil, and myself sit down and we talk about comic books and comic book movies and TV shows, and we just bitch and whine and complain. You sit there for about an hour and a half, listen to us, nerd rage. So thank you for that. And speaking of nerd rage, I want to give a big shout out to our crew over there at Nerd Rage Radio. Bobby, Chris, Joe, Marilyn, Phil, Ricky, Tiki, Raul, Chucky O, everybody over there. Thank you guys. If it weren't for Nerd Rage Radio, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't have a podcast. I mean, maybe I would, but I don't think I would have a base. It'd just be me probably talking to the camera by myself. So thank you to Nerd Rage Radio for, just, being there for me. Appreciate you. Also want to give a shout out to my other podcast. So You Like Horror. If you like scary movies, go check it out, because that's what we do. We talk about scary movies over there. We're doing cursed films this year as our major theme. So once per month, you're going to probably hear us talking about Poltergeist or The Omen or The Exorcist or Twilight Zone, the movie, or The Serpent and the Rainbow. Basically, we're talking about those movies that have some funky stuff going on behind the scenes where people believe it might have been cursed. So, go check it out. And, got any suggestions, feel free to reach out to me about that too. Or, if you want to, I don't know, go leave a review, say some nice things. Also, don't shy away from leaving a review for Off the Mats as well. Do it on what is that? Where are we on? Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. Go leave a review. We greatly appreciate it. And last but not least, I want to give a big shout out to Eric over there at BJJ Wholesale and Simple Leaf CBD. Thank you very much. And we greatly appreciate what you do for the community and greatly appreciate your time here on Off the Mats. Otherwise, everyone, thank you so much. You guys keep listening, and we're definitely going to keep making these shows. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.